December. Appreciate everybody's effort making it here. It's been easy navigating around the community here the last few days. At this time, we'll roll call and let the record show that Commissioner Lowe and myself are here, and that we also have Commissioner Crutcher. Is Commissioner Willie on too?
She was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she in the waiting room again.
Oh, she.
Okay, so we do have a quorum and can conduct business today. I believe General Williams is traveling, and appreciate the extra effort for Commissioner Crutcher and Commissioner Willie to get on. I know both of them were very busy, and it's gonna be a lot to get them on the virtual today. At this time, we'll consider a motion for approval of the minutes that were sent out. I believe everybody's had a chance to read those. I do have a question or two and a little bit of discussion, but if we could get a motion for approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Commissioner Lowe,
I'll second.
Commissioner Willie, thank you. Seconded.
You're welcome.
For discussion, I had one question about the minutes. I did notice a few typos, but that I'll point out after the meeting and get corrected. But let's see, I'm on my paper. Everybody knows my iPad got taken out in a flood. May have shuffled my paper a little too much here. I just noticed in the minutes there was a comment about one of our residents, Dennis Eason, had come to the meeting and it said something about he asked a question and then it was just blank.
Page 12.
Sounds right. Like I say, here, let's see. If I can find those minutes, I don't know what happened. Yeah, page 12, it just says, Mr. Dennis Eason asked several questions about the, and it's blank.
So he had questions about radon, and if he was one of the residents that were affected by the radon. So we explained to him that off-site, that he was not one of the
Right.
households that received the letter for radon.
Could we document that and complete the minutes, because it just says, ask several questions about, and it's just blank there, it doesn't even finish the sentence.
Yes, sir. I will make that correction.
Okay. All right, I guess that's all I had. Like I say, I saw there were several. I guess I looked at the minutes a lot closer than I used to do. We had so much time here. I actually read them in detail and I marked some misspelled words and typos, just minor stuff that we can get corrected. Does anybody else have any questions or discussion about the minutes? All those in favor of approval of them? Somebody's trying to comment?
Aye.
Please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Willie.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much. Any old business to come before the board? If not, we'll move right on to our new business, and I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. McGinnis.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for being here. What we're gonna do, we have our team from MBS on the Zoom, and I just really wanted them to come and talk to us. Joseph actually was going to be here today, but he had some trouble with the weather. But because we have our CNI application that we're gonna submit next month, I wanted them to jump on and get any questions answered, anything that anybody might have. I thought this would be a good time before we go and submit that application, because it's due before our next board meeting. So, Joseph, I'll turn it over to you, or Judith, or Tracy, who, I think Joseph was gonna speak, But just to kind of give us an update on where we are, and the board had any questions or comments before, mainly that we signed the agreement that we have to sign moving forward.
Wonderful. Well, good morning. I guess good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joe Weatherly, Senior Vice President with the Board of Barron. Richard Barron is with us today as well. We were planning on being there in person, and Richard and I were there at 4:05 this morning trying to get there. So apologies. We had an iced-in runway and ended up closing our corporate office as well today. So thank you for having us virtually. I wanted to just introduce the team here. Starting with our founder and chairman, Richard, who is planning on being here with us today. Judith Jones-Moran, Senior Vice President of Development, and Tracy Senth, Vice President of Finance. I'm gonna let Judith give updates on the CNI application. She and Tracy are working on it day to day. But I did want to say before I turn it over, how much we've enjoyed working with everybody. Everybody in Huntsville has just been incredibly professional, first class across the board, and we're really looking forward to submitting this application. We think it's incredibly strong, and it's a reflection of the community, everyone here involved, the stakeholders, the authority. Tony's leadership has been incredible, along with the city. So with that, I wanted to turn it over. Richard, did you have anything to say before we hand it over to Judith?
Just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity. We're very excited about it, and I certainly enjoyed my initial visit there and meeting everyone, and it's just been a real pleasure for us. So we look forward to a successful submission. And Judith, you might want to bring everybody up to date. Thank you very much.
All right, good morning or afternoon, your time. So yeah, I'm Judith Moran, and I'm the project manager on this project from McCormick Barron. I'm a senior vice president of the company. The application is due on the 13th of February, and we're positioned to get in, prior to that date. We're working with an incredible group, the Housing Authority and the city. The city will be the applicant of the application, and the Housing Authority is considered the co-applicant. We're the lead team for housing implementation, for CNI's, Choice Neighborhood Implementation Programs. There's got to be major improvements for both housing, what we call people, and neighborhoods. So strategies that you selected to work with the people, strategies to improve the daily lives and opportunities for the people in the neighborhood. And then we've had urban development, Urban Design Associates, which is the master planner working with us, helping us to come up with a great neighborhood plan as well as a housing plan. The city will be the one to take the lead on implementing the neighborhood plan. So we're really excited about the project because we have a couple of things that we think will make it really unique. It's a very competitive program. We're applying for $50 million. HUD will likely fund, I don't know, maybe 7 of these. Tracy, I may be wrong about that, but
last year they funded 8. In the past, they had funded around 4 or 5, but they had additional money, so we do expect it to be around 8.
Okay. So one of the things, the housing component, we're doing what's required and going over and beyond what's required. You've got to bring in mixed income housing. So the plan is to demolish and rebuild Johnson Towers and Butler Terrace. Excuse me, and also to create some additional housing, project-based voucher units, so that we can welcome back the 23 families that received vouchers when they were relocated from Butler Terrace addition to the site. And we built in 21 additional units for waitlist applicants. So we're doing what we call replacement housing units, a total of 284 of those. And that's to replace what's being demolished, which is the 240 at Johnson Towers and Butler Terrace, and these additional opportunities that I just mentioned. We have 122 market rate units, which exceeds what's required in the program, and 174 tax credit units, so for a total mix of 580 units. So these are 580, what we call CNI housing opportunities. What's going to help this project really stand out is that we're bringing in another 125 housing units that's going to be developed in what we call the neighborhood plan by the Huntsville hospital system. And this will be housing targeted to their employees, and to the extent that they don't fill all of the units with their employees, then they'll be offered to teachers and first-time responders. So we think that this really makes a very attractive plan, because there's just a lot of diversity for housing being offered here. And the hospital's program, while it does create housing opportunities, because it's not CNI funding in it, it's a neighborhood strategy, which helps to bring additional units and affordable units, because the hospital is actually subsidizing the units to make them more affordable for their employees. So we just think that this will be a phenomenal aspect of the project that should really go over well with HUD and kind of set us above others, set us apart from other applications. The other unique feature is the current creek that runs through the neighborhood, the targeted neighborhood. We are going to cover it over with build a culvert, cover it up, and create a very attractive park. So this is another neighborhood component that we think will be very attractive to HUD, because it's going to be, a really exciting green amenity. It really eliminates the eyesore that is there now with the creek. But by putting in the culvert, we still manage the water, and the creek still does all of the things that it needs to do from a technical aspect for the flow of water in that area, but building it over to make a really, really nice neighborhood amenity. So those are two of the things I think really stand out about this project. And of course, we've got a good team, Urban Strategies, that always build an incredible people plan, offering opportunities for jobs, educational opportunities, and case management, and other support services to the residents to help them with whatever their needs are, to make them more achieve greater mobility, economic mobility, and stability in their housing and in their lives. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to entertain it. And Tracy might want to speak to the total cost, to the budget that we've proposed at this date for the project.
Yeah, I wanted to reinforce what you did say, but not so much on the numbers, but on the fact that, so there's facing the existing units that are being demolished, would be demolished, and adding additional to that. And those current tenants and the tenants that left from Butler Terrace Addition have the first right to return and occupy those units. And they will be receiving those people, USI services that Judith mentioned. I mean, USI will be doing people services for the entire development, but the residents are their target focus when it comes to that. So the residents are very much so a part of this new mixed income development that will be the 580 total units. Just overall, it takes a lot to build 580 units. There's a lot of, as Judith focused on the park, there's a lot of infrastructure work that needs to be done to establish this plan. I mean, the whole plan in total for housing is $247 million. The city is making a very significant contribution for the infrastructure and the filling in the creek, doing the park. They're making a significant contribution for building parking garages, and they're also making the contribution of $40 million for the housing alone. that along with, obtaining, normal private equity and debt, and the $50 million, grant, brings us to a gap, but a very small gap that we will be pursuing other sources, once the grant is awarded, which is not atypical. There is always a, financing gap whenever we submit these, but lots of things that can be pursued over an 8-year period. And to highlight what the Housing Authority is committed to is providing PBVs at 110%. Of fair market value, along with providing the ground at a nominal ground lease value. So all of the land will be ground leased to each partnership, so they will retain ownership of the land, but they're providing it at a nominal amount. And then also, if there's any, any additional developer fee that's able to be generated from the project based upon HUD rules and the state rules, the Housing Authority will participate in that, and then they in the MOU, the conversations we've had with Tony is he's committed to reinvest that back into the project. So those are the primary support, obviously, ongoing administration and support of the Housing Authority, but those are the highlights on the financing side.
And at a later date, once the application is funded, we would enter into a developer agreement with the Housing Authority and the city. And so what's on your agenda today is to take action on a memorandum of understanding, which sets out the business terms for the development agreement that, we will later execute with you and the city as well. So we have Joe Weatherly who will talk about that. But if you have any other questions on the application, we're happy to answer it. And one other thing I wanted to bring out on the people and neighborhood leverage, because leverage is really important in the scoring for this, for these applications, is that the hospital, not only will they build a housing apartment for 125 families, but they're also going to put a clinic into one of our buildings. One of the buildings that we're gonna do is gonna be for elderly only. And so they're actually gonna have a clinic space in that building. And so that helps with neighborhood leverage, the cost that they will commit to building out that space, because we'll just build a space, or what we call a white box, and they'll complete the space. They'll do that, and then they'll provide services to the residents. So there'll be people services as well as neighborhood leverage. So there again, the hospital has really stepped up as an amazing partner. So I think I'm sure that, Antonio has been talking to you about that already, but just wanted to make sure you're fully aware of the kind of partner you have in them.
So that was gonna be my question, was total leverage. So there was a requirement in the application. How far, it sounds like we came in significantly above the requirements in the application, is that right?
Yes, and I don't know that I have a total. I know that there's at least 40 million on people leverage right now, and that exceeds what's required. And as we continue to talk, I will look to see what I have on the neighborhood leverage. It's still in flux. We're still working on letters and commitments, but yes, we have exceeded what's required for neighborhood and people. That's something I'm working on this week.
Yeah, I would add that the city's commitment both to housing and neighborhood is pretty significant, and it's not just the actual dollars being added to this application, but it's inclusive of other commitments they've already made and that were already in process, but impact the overall development. And I'm thinking of I'm gonna probably get it wrong what they officially call it, but it's a Sky Bridge project that they're working on that's not far away from the site. That's something that adds leverage, even though it's something they'd already planned to do.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Well, again, I just thought it would be appropriate for us to just kind of have a meeting and have you all talk before we submit the final application. It's been great working with you all. I think we have a really strong application, and we appreciate you all for all that you've done in educating us on this process. And we look forward to a successful application. We thank y'all again.
Thank you, that was a very
Thank you.
informative update, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right?
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
I'd just like to make a comment too, and thank you for the leadership, and I received some very strong compliments from the director of planning of the city about the relationship building you've done with Huntsville Hospital, which I think, like they say, that's a differentiator for us, and something that's gonna really resonate with HUD. And I know it's been a long process, and something you've been working on those relationships with their senior leadership group for a long time, so thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, just, I'll add to that, just the responsiveness and just the coordination of the team, it's been impressive. So, top to bottom, impressive with all the parts of the relationships, that's good.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate our team as well for what they've done, Takisa, Teresa, and the whole staff, for just whenever there's information that's needed, I mean, they're jumping right on it. So you can't get a project like this across the finish line. And when we first started, the question was, could I do it? And I told everybody no. But with the team, with McCormick Barron, the city, and everybody working together, we would put together a strong application. So I'm looking forward to it being submitted and us getting across the finish line. So thanks, everybody.
All right, I believe moves us to financial services. Is that where we are?
And anybody from McCormick Barron that wants to drop off, y'all can. You don't have to stay. We just want to make sure that y'all won't for that piece. So you're welcome to stay if you want to.
Thanks again.
All right. We'll turn it over to Teresa.
Good afternoon. My first item is to ask the board to act on a resolution authorizing the executive director to renew the annual hosting fee, annual SAS fee, and the annual SMA fee with Emphasis Software. The Emphasis software system is a complete multi-user integrated resident and financial management system for public housing, housing choice voucher program, and tax credit properties, including a live and test environment of Elite, HCV, LIPH, tax credit, administrative suite, procurement, and payroll environment. This includes support and updates. This package is essential for the authority's data security. On March 16th, a resolution 2028 was passed by the Huntsville Housing Authority Board of Directors to purchase and install the Emphasis Elite environment. This resolution passed a 3-year contractual agreement between Huntsville Housing Authority. The 3-year contractual agreement is completed. The economic impact of this 1-year renewal is $121,341. The attachment of the letter from Emphasis and also the invoice is attached within this request for board action. Is there anything we'd like to discuss about this letter or the renewal?
How much of an increase does that represent from what we were paying each of the previous 3 years?
It's about 15%.
15%.
Yes, sir.
Their SaaS fee, traditionally SaaS software is per license or per seat. Are they charging us per seat, or is this just a blanket rate that they're charging us for their software?
Well, we're self-hosted, so there's no SaaS fee per seat. We have the software, and we can have as many users as we like. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. I mean, so the users, I mean, everybody that's in the system living in the housing has access to it, and that's the number of seats? Or is this merely an admin function that it's a limited number of seats for admin?
Are we talking about the portal, the resident portal? Is that what you're talking about? Or the housing software in general?
Just whatever Emphasis.
Okay, yeah, it's our housing software package that all of our employees use. And whereas before we were hosted with the Azure cloud, and we did have to have a Citrix license per user, but since we moved it to more of a co-location host here in town. We control the software and our connections to it. I guess we pay for the package itself, but there's not a per user license.
So these are maintenance and security upgrades that we're
Correct.
paying for, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So overall, satisfaction's been good. I'm sure there's issues here and there, but feel like it's pretty user-friendly.
Well, I would say this, we had our challenges because we installed during COVID. And so therefore, some of the systems and portals that we thought would be ready, that would be online for us, they are still in production, like the research portal that we need for our ACB and our public housing to be able to go online and do a research. But overall, I think that we went to a conference and they are working on that, and it has become more user-friendly to us as we go. We also have the demand for demographic information that is still forthcoming. So it has not been the most easiest transition, but we have to look at it and see when we install and we continue to work with our software vendor. We also have a meeting that we have every other week. That is a customer service meeting that they meet with us to make sure that we're staying on track. So our voices are heard. I have no problem voicing what we need, and we have a good working relationship. So that's where we are. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat, yay, but to just let you know
Right,
that
thank you.
we're up the hill and
Yeah,
we're
it
keeping.
is a significant cost.
Yes, sir, it is. So.
Any comments from our virtual attendees or questions? Got anything else, Commissioner?
Nothing on my side.
All right.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. And is there a motion for approval of the resolution as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Lowe. Commissioner Willie, you there? I believe Commissioner Crutcher dropped off. Is there a second?
Commissioner Willie, do you second?
She was there. Did she-
Sorry, my mute button got froze.
Hate it when that happens. Did you second the motion?
Oh, baby, yes. Thank you.
I heard that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Yes, I second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is Commissioner Crutcher still on? She thought I heard her voice.
I thought I heard her voice too.
All right. Resolution approved.
All right, thank you for approving resolution 2024-01. My next item is the act on the resolution approving quarterly charge-offs for the period ending December 31st, 2023. This board action is the quarterly one I bring before you. The Huntsville Housing Authority has on its book $42,027.30 owed by former residents who vacated September the 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2023. The purpose of this request is to obtain approval to charge off 38 former residents accounts that total $42,027.30 for the quarter ending December 31st, 2023. This action is necessary to remove uncollectible accounts from HHA books. The economic impact is an expense of $42,027. However, this amount is subject to partial recovery through the collection process. The breakdown of the charge-offs is as follows: rent, $25,543.86. Maintenance charges, $780.07. Court costs, $4,187. Late charges, $1,600 $76.74. Retroactive rent, $9,602. Bulk cable, $126. There are no other alternatives, and this is resolution 2024-02. The retroactive rent, I wanted to let you know that was the, rent for one tenant who had, been employed for a year, who did not notify us about the employment. So therefore, at that time, once we calculated, that was the retroactive rent for one tenant. I also detailed out all of the other ones, but I knew that would, thought that would be a question on why that was coming
Yeah, I
forward.
was gonna ask
Yes.
that one, because it stuck out like a sore thumb,
Yes, sir.
being the only one.
Yes, sir, it is. I just wanted to let you know that, was the, one tenant not reporting, so that's the rent. So therefore, that's the total for the charge-offs. And this is resolution 2024-02. Do you have any questions about this?
Real quick, when you verbally read it out, it sounded like the court cost was a different number than what was in the document.
Oh.
That we had. I just wanted to.
Court cost, 1,000. Oh, yeah, $4,298. I apologize. That says court cost. Late charges, $1,676.74.
Okay, well, it was the court, I thought I heard 4,197 as opposed to 4,298, but, I'm also losing hearing probably, so I was just making sure that I heard what was on the document.
Okay, so my breakdown within the request for board action should be 4,298. Because it sums to what it should across here on the actual, document for the summary.
Okay, very good.
Thank
That's
you.
what's in the document, I was just verifying.
Yes, sir.
So was that retroactive rent, was that just for a year?
Yes, sir, that was a
Was
year,
this-
because you know, re-exams happen once a year, and once the re-exam is taking place, that's,
It's like $800 a month, must have a good job.
yes, sir, it was a very good employment. I can't speak to
They
which.
failed to report it.
Yes, sir, they did. But,
Yeah, thank you for handling that, that was a little confusing, because I thought all of the rent was retroactive.
yes, they're retroactive for 1 year, we go back from the time, and so it's not reported. We wish that would not happen, but it did.
Income, find that under that income verification
Yes,
system.
yes, we have several sources to find the income, yes, sir.
All right, anything else? Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve?
Commissioner Lowe. Is there a second? She's still connected or just muted. Commissioner Willie?
I'll second that, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm here.
Thank you very much.
I,
Any more discussion,
You're welcome.
questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Motion approved, resolution approved.
Thank you. The next item I have is the presentation of cumulative low-income housing finance report for the period ended November 30th, 2023. So, I'll begin here with the PHA operating grant. So to tell you, I did a detailed explanation, but I just want to explain how we're going to move forward. We are not going to pay for or probably get an invoice for the elevator by 3/31/2024, okay? So what we did was, in December, we drew down $682,800, because I know when you seen this bottom line, you were like, what's gonna happen here? So what we're gonna use is our 1406 operation money to offset our loss. So we've drawn that money down for the month of December. I also wanted to speak to the fact that we will probably draw down all of the rest of the operational money through the next 3 months out of 1406 capital fund money, all right? Now, also to let you know, I wanna go back above to operating subsidy and let you know at this present time, HUD is only funding operating subsidy at 87%. So it went from 92 down to 87. I suspect that through March 31st, that will be our funding for the rest of this fiscal year, okay? So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Of course, interest income, that's up, we're very happy about that, so we're making more money off of our money. And then we have this other income from the insurance proceeds for, the unit that we took offline over at Lincoln Park. And we also have the Stone Ridge developer fee that has also helped us with other income. So that's where we stand. Do we wanna talk about revenue before I move forward? Do we have any questions about revenue?
The
Dr. Lowe.
92 to 87 is a big,
Yes,
pretty
it is.
painful hit, I'd imagine, because that's paying for operations, right?
Yes, sir. So, just wanna prepare you, when I come before you next month with your budget revision, we will have a loss. I just wanna let you know.
When was that effective?
The
They
new-
would go into the 87?
January 1st. And then the other thing that was most interesting, because we're waiting on a continuing resolution, is that they only funded us 6 or 7 weeks of funding. So they didn't put two months of funding, which they usually do in ELOCs. It was 6 to 7, basically 10 weeks, 11 weeks of funding. So we just wait and see how it's coming forward. But I wanted to let you know about the 87%, because we budgeted our subsidy originally at a 95% subsidy, and that was very aggressive. So now we're at 87%. So as we move forward and we are informed by the industry leaders, I will keep you informed also about where our subsidy is being funded, okay? Moving down to total administration, overall, we're at 5%. These items are trending under budget. Office expense is higher than budget, and I wanted to speak to this because this is where our contract is for verifications when we do re-exams. So we have seen an increase in that, a tick up in our office expenses because of that, but overall, we're trending under budget there. Total tenant services, this line item will, in the budget revision, will be lower than budget. We will do a line to put in relocation costs. Those relocation costs have to do to, we have to move because of, relocation due to units or VAWA, what's it, Violence Against Women's Act. That, yeah, so we have to move also for that, and those are not planned, that just happens haphazardly, throughout the year. Now, moving to the next page of the financials, the next thing that we addressed was, materials. So I've spoken in the past about the rehab for, the appliances that we had to buy. What I also need to bring to your attention is that we have had to replace HCV units. We've had to replace 5 of those, and we've also had compressors. And so what that means is that when our capitalization policy is $5,000. So these units are running us about $8,200 for replacement, but also the compressor cost is like $5,000. I can't capitalize that because that includes the part and the labor. But when it's over the particular piece of equipment is $5,000, then it allows for us to capitalize. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention also. Contract costs, of course, we're going to speak to the elevators. That is what the driving cost is with the maintenance. We're having those challenges. I'm sure you're aware of those, and we will be going forward and trying to move to find a solution for the elevator problem that we have. Moving down the page to other general expense, this is where I explained we put money into our tax credit units and the subsidy line. It comes to other general expense within this financial, but that should net to a 0 effect on the financials. Collection loss. This time, of course, we're trending under budget, and we also let you know that we're able to collect through MIS. Hopefully we'll be getting some more collections because it's time to file for taxes, so we should get some more money to offset our collection loss in this line. And then extraordinary maintenance. The Butler Terrace development has incurred $106,131 for extermination treatment for 3 buildings, and Stone Manor incurred costs of $15,950 for plumbing repairs. Moving forward to our next page of casualty loss. We did receive funding for the 1 unit at Northwoods that offset some of our costs. We had a holdback amount that we're looking for an additional amount of funding to come through. And so therefore we should be within budget of this line item once we settle all of our insurance claims. The inter-amp transfer, this transfer was not necessary for the HCV program because they had higher than anticipated admin expenses. So these funds were transferred from our COCC over to, HCV for the sustainability of that program. And then we get to capital assets addition. So as I've said, we're not gonna be incurring the expense of the 682, but we have incurred expense for a new security system there for $11,630. And then we bought a truck for the business activity fund. And this is where we see the that's kind of tongue-tied, HVAC units and their replacements for $57,990. So overall, you can see the decrease in the net assets is $807,868.62 at this time. So that's my presentation for you. And do you have any questions at this point for me? Anything I can answer?
What was the Butler Terrace, extermination for the 3 buildings?
Those 3 buildings were filled with, Butler Terrace.
They were infested with mice. They had got into the insulation, the roofs and everything, and they had literally infested the building. And so they had to come in, take down drywall, insulation, pretty much, yeah, good at that.
Wow. That's a lot.
Any questions?
Anything else?
Commissioner Love?
No, I mean, it's all explained. Man, getting hit with a couple of those things is pretty painful. The HVACs and the drop in reimbursement.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Is that it for finance?
Yes, sir, that's it for me.
All right, Terkeesa?
Good afternoon. Some of you I have not seen since the new year, so happy new year. It is this time annually we bring to the board, the action plan and the 5-year plan. And, the 5-year plan describes the agency's mission, its long-range goals and objectives for achieving its mission. And the 1-year plan is an extraction of that 5-year plan, a measurable 1-year plan. The purpose is to obtain board approval for the submission and execution of the 5-year plan and the 2024 annual action plan for a fiscal year beginning April the 1st, 2024. The justification is that, this is required through HUD under 24 CFR 903. The plan essentially guides HHA through a strategic planning process. The strategic planning process examines the assessment of the housing needs of the community, identifies the financial and other resources available to help address those needs, and establish goals and strategies for addressing those needs. Recommendation includes approval of the 5-year plan and the 2024 annual action plan, including the execution of the certifications of compliance with the related regulations, including the required civil rights certifications for submission. So I ask the board to accept this resolution, and I will entertain any questions if you have them at this time.
Thank you. It's a lot of material.
It is.
Good through. You have anything, Commissioner Love?
I'm just gonna ask, I mean, does this relate to the planning meeting that we have scheduled for the 2nd of February? Or is this independent of that, or is this?
It's independent, but it does drive a lot of the, overall strategy we've got. But the way I've seen it in the past, and this may not be that accurate, but I mean, this is a guideline, but we can amend it. We can reprioritize things and work through it as we go, but it's a requirement that we meet, and
Right.
you have to have all these meetings, public meetings and all, hearings.
So we do have the ability to amend, but most definitely, like you just mentioned, we have to go through the public hearing process to be able to, one, identify what we're changing, to our residents and the public. And then most definitely on the back end.
So in the spirit of it, kind of too, that we allow ourselves flexibility, like we list all of our properties as prospective properties for redevelopment and all that. So it's in the plan when if we get to, you know, where the board makes a decision to go in a certain direction. That's why I've always interpreted.
We most definitely include, or try to include all of our properties. And Mike can speak to this in more detail than I can, and assess a financial component to it. And so if there are some things that we have to increase, then most definitely we can go through and do an amendment to increase those. If we have to delete that from the plan, we have the ability to do that too. But the key is to make sure that our residents and the public know what we're changing, and then again on the back end.
So back to your question, it's somewhat independent, but if we make some decisions as a board and drive some initiatives, then they'll need to be included in the plan.
Correct.
Just reflected, okay.
Any comments you mentioned?
Well, I just wanted to make sure everybody understands there's a difference between our agency plan and our 5-year budgeting plan. Our agency plan includes administrative functions that we've decided that we want to do. That's where the board and what direction we may go, that's where that goes in. The 5-year action plan is a projection of the funding we get from HUD for our extraordinary maintenance. Okay, so don't confuse the two. The 5-year action plan for our maintenance activities, extraordinary maintenance, is one thing, and that's just a projection from what we're getting today from HUD. We project that out over 5 years. That can change. HUD can increase or decrease that amount, but the decisions on what direction we go, that's in our agency plan.
Right.
So there's a difference between the two. This 5-year plan and the process we're going through right now is for extraordinary maintenance to our properties.
Okay, thank you for.
And I guess the basis for that is you just look at age, and you just project out when more air compressors are gonna go out, and when, you know, the general paint needs to be, you know, those type things, and you're just projecting out what.
Life expectancy of roofing systems,
Yeah.
electrical systems, plumbing systems of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff that you just can't do underneath our operating subsidy for routine maintenance.
Right, right.
All right. Anything else? Is there a motion for approval of the resolution as presented?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Hello, is there a second?
Yes, there's a second. I probably have questions once I look over it in detail, but like you said, it's a lot of information, but I second the motion.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All those any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Good to go.
Public housing operations, Terica.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Today I bring to you, Resolution 2024-4, requesting authorization for the Executive Director, CEO, Contracting Officer to enter into a contract with Building Systems Technology Incorporated for the replacement of the fire alarm system at towers. Of course, everybody knows that annually inspections are done on fire alarm systems to ensure they are operating properly. During the 2023 inspection of the fire, with the fire marshal, he noted that the fire alarm system at Todd Towers was malfunctioning. Upon further investigation of the issue, it was found that the fire alarm panel needed to be completely replaced. The purpose and objective, considering that the fire alarm system is designed to alert building inhabitants and the authorities immediately, the purpose and objective is to not only try to prevent severe property damage, but also to maintain the safety and well-being of the Todd Towers residents. As it pertains to justification and description, the Huntsville Housing Authority reached out to several other fire protection contractors soliciting the repair services needed for the fire alarm system at Todd Towers. Unfortunately, the other responding contractors were either not available or unable to provide the type of repairs that were required. The economic impact as listed is $51,650. That's the price for equipment as well as labor. The attachments that I included was the justification for non-competitive procurement, which was provided by our procurement officer, as well as the scope of work, which was provided by Building Systems Technology Incorporated. Today, the recommendation is that the board approves for the executive director, CEO, contracting officer to enter into the contract, for repairs for the fire alarm system at Todd Towers with Building Systems Technology. And again, this resolution is resolution 2024-4.
Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions?
Any questions or?
Is it considered sole source, even though you did inquire other, I guess that's the question, is that you inquired other people and they no bid? And there was only one bidder, or was it just a sole source justification to go just to one provider?
No, the information they provided back just simply said that they weren't able to do it, or they were, that may have been because of their qualifications, the staffing that they had, or, they just weren't available. And then we did have a few that did not respond.
HUD doesn't let a no bid from a vendor is not considered a bid by HUD.
Okay, so you only have one qualified.
If they say that they can't bid on it, you can't use that as a bid.
Okay.
Other government agencies do that, but HUD does not.
But I guess based on our
Life safety.
experience and knowledge, it's obviously crucial that we get it done, but this is a reasonable proposal.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it is. That's a very expensive system. Each device has its own address that it communicates with the enunciator and the panel. And if that device is not working properly, it lets us know. But right now, we don't know what we've got going on because the panel is not working properly. We don't know if we have fire alarms, smoke detectors and things that aren't working right now because it doesn't tell us. And the only way to find out is go test every one every day. That's just not practical.
Yeah, that's an immediate need, so.
Yeah, we could have, lives at threat.
Yeah, because we've had a history of ventilation problems and calls to the fire department.
We just don't know if all the fire smoke detectors are working or not. We don't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right, is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
Yeah, motion to approve?
Commissioner Lowe, is there a second?
Yes, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. Appreciate that. We got the MOU to discuss here, is that next?
Yeah. I guess what I wanted to do too is, speak to Ashley about how do we go about this MOU as far as a board perspective. Do we need to have a resolution for the signing of the MOU?
Yeah, I think there should be a resolution in favor of it. We're negotiating contracts, you can go in an executive session if you want to discuss it. The vote would have to be in the public meeting, but I'm not sure there's really a need for an executive session. But I see the way this has evolved. I don't know, but there would be a possibility to discuss negotiations in the contract.
We've got a deadline, don't they need this by about 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, and actually, I thought we had, at the November board meeting, we'd already approved the resolution. This was just an update
Oh.
based on,
Okay, I think you're
Yeah.
correct. I think
Yeah.
at the November meeting, we approved it based
Yeah.
upon certain,
Right.
you know, gave you the authority to finalize
Right.
it. I
So-
believe that is proper, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
That rings a bell.
So we don't have to have a resolution for this one, we just go back to the original one.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, since it was approved at that meeting, you know, you're just carrying out the instructions given at that point in time.
Any,
So I do have a few other comments. I want to thank the staff. We had several people call in with busted pipes, water sprinkler damage, public housing staff, Terrick and her staff jumped right on it. Housing choice voucher staff, Section 8. We can't control other people's property, but Kamisha got on the phone with a development property that we've been having some problems with, and actually was able to work out some things with that property as well. You know, and just thankful for the staff just showing up. The finance department made sure they were proactive in getting everybody paid, and they took all their computers and stuff home a week in advance. And so we just appreciate the work that everybody's done as we went through this ice storm. You know, a lot of times our residents are stuck in, but just appreciate the staff for all they've done in this situation. I mean, it really was helpful. Ribbon cutting on the 25th of this week at 10 o'clock at Monrovia Flats. For all those who can make it, really want you to come out and see that new facility that we're partnering with Elmington Capital to produce those project-based voucher units. I think this is a game changer, and it gives us an opportunity to put our residents in some brand new housing. And so we're excited about that. I do want to also recognize that we had 2 of our staff members graduate from the Rutgers University Education Director, Executive Director's Education Program. Teresa and Turkisa went through the program for the last 2 years. And this is one of the top certifications that FADA provides, and it's through Rutgers University, so it's a very legit certification. And so we thank them for going through that, and just want to recognize that they graduated from that program in, 2 weeks ago in San Diego. So we definitely wanted to recognize them on that. We got our board retreat next week, and so we're looking forward to just getting together. Mr. Fountain and I will be going over some agenda along with the board members' input. I think this is a critical time for us to do that because we definitely need to make sure that as we grow and as we have CNI and other project-based voucher opportunities, we got to make sure that we're on the same page. But then as we grow as well, we got to make sure that we have the capacity. We got to make sure people are getting trained, are willing to get trained. If we need to look at outsourcing some stuff that we can do to make sure that, again, we have the capacity to grow, I think we need to have all of that in our strategic plan. And so what we've done is we've updated the strategic plan. And do you have a couple of those copies available? Yeah, you can bring them over. And so this is what I would like for us to do as we get these. This is a rough draft of the strategic plan, but it's also an opportunity for us to get input from the board and the staff so that this could be a plan that we all appreciate and are invested in. One of the things that we talk about here lately is that when we talk about affordable housing throughout the community, we really need to understand what that looks like from a housing authority perspective. Because when you go through and you look at some of the things in this strategic plan, it talks about we're serving people that are below 30% AMI. And so we gotta start looking at, do we have the capacity to grow? What opportunities are out there for us to grow? How do we get more project-based vouchers? How do we build off the Choice Neighborhood Initiative once we get that? And just start looking at what we can do better. And then we need to look at how we can transform our residents to be self-sufficient as much as we can, because we know that we're gonna be limited in how many units we can put up. And affordable housing, I mean, they cut our budget 87% to 87%. So we know that if we don't get more people to be self-sufficient, then we're gonna be in trouble. And so we're looking at our people, our programs, our portfolio, and figuring out how we can serve better and making sure that we have the capacity to do so. So I think the board retreat is at a perfect time, rolling out this strategic plan. And I'm gonna say this too. Most organizations that I've talked to don't have strategic plans. What they use is their 5-year plan as their strategic plan. They don't necessarily think about the people portion or the program portion. And when we tell people that we're doing our own strategic plan in-house, it's something that is not done. So I appreciate Terkeesa and her input. I'm looking forward to the staff from their input, because this shows that we not only take care of our buildings and our people, but we also starting to partner. And we want to be more open to the public as well. I think the Housing Authority in the past, we kind of sat back and did our own thing, but we got to communicate more. We got to be more in the community, and this is going to give us a blueprint to do so. You know, people often talk about us taking care of our properties. Over the last 5 years, when you look at the capital fund, we spent close to $8 million on property. And then we're close to 13 over the next 5 years. So we're doing all that we can, not only to take care of the properties that we have, but to be creative in how we put more on the ground. So dive into it. It might have some stuff on there that need to be updated. If you see something, just send it back to me, and then we'll update it. There'll probably be some stuff that we even take out. But when you look through this, I think this gives us a good starting point for how we go into the future. Yeah. And then last but not least, I want to say this. We did take some kids out to, what was it, Opelika, to the public housing basketball tournament this year. We had 2 teams.
What ages?
12 and under and 15 and under. And we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, and they took some kids, we had some kids, and so I didn't go, so they didn't win. I wasn't coaching, so we're gonna have to work on that. But it's always a good time. The kids always have a great time when they go down. They look well, they represent it well, and so looking forward to that. And then as we go into the summer, we're looking forward to our summer league and getting some of those kids back out and getting them on the basketball courts in the summertime, and really starting to develop that relationship.
The public housing tournament was this past weekend, MLK.
Yeah, yeah.
Did they get back okay?
They did.
Travel wise and everything, we got hit with it.
And I think Fred can talk to this. They got back in enough time where they didn't get snowed in. So, what time did y'all get back?
We got back about 6. We got in 6, and then got everybody settled probably by 7:30, and I stayed here, got everything settled. So, but they played good. They played really well. We ended up going for the pre-playoffs against Bowling Green, so they beat us this year. But they had some tall centers. That was the problem. We just went like everybody, but the centers looked good.
They did when that happened.
So we just got to get some taller centers, but they did really well. Yeah, but it was a lot of teams. Yeah, it was just to compete. Both, and it was really, that's what happened at the end. It was 2-2. Pretty much everybody was around that, and then everybody was competing for that 3-1, that 3-2, and so it was good. So everybody had a great time.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Any questions for me?
Location for our offsite?
Huntsville Country Club.
Okay.
They've got to get some arrangements made, but they've got flexibility with the facilities and everything. I'll get you the contact on that. So we're good on the MOU. Okay. And we don't need to act at all.
Yeah, it was in the meeting minutes, just a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. And then the Monrovia Flats, did you get, how did that shake out? I know you were in some conversations with the city about the vouchers and PD.
So this one, the Monrovia Flats is good. You know, we're looking at Tupelo Flats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's already, that
This
ship
one,
had already sailed.
Yeah.
So it's 80-something units, and all of them are.
Yeah, and we probably have some wiggle room for some negotiation. They wanna eventually do 240 units out there in that area. Their thought was doing the 80 project base first, but, you know, we hadn't solidified anything as far as that. We had several meetings with the mayor about it. But it's an opportunity for us to put some units on the ground and get our folks in the situations that are not the traditional public housing, kind of desegregate this thing, deconcentrate public housing a little bit, and so, we're still having those conversations.
Okay. Yeah, I had the two developments mixed up.
Yeah. And then we have another one that's coming up on 53, just for seniors, and the same group is doing that one, and I'm sure they'll probably have a ribbon cutting later on in the year 2024.
So we're providing vouchers for that too. Good. Glad to get some folks some affordable housing out there.
Yep.
Anybody signed up for public comments? Commissioner comments? Commissioner Love? Commissioner Willie?
No, I don't have anything.
I just had a question.
I don't have anything today.
Okay, thank you. About the, with this brutal cold and folks being shut in and running their, heat wide open, do we have, I know we have nonprofits and, you know, community action and churches that, but are we able to communicate to our residents where they can get utilities assistance? I imagine we're gonna have some really big utility bills.
Community Action does a great job of working with our residents, and they're right here in the community. And any organization that is willing to partner, I know the Catholic Center of Concern works with us, Community Action, and Resident Services and FSS Department. They do a great job of connecting people to help them.
I know Huntsville Utilities has been flexible with some of the people that I've talked to where they've done pay half and work with them, but it's just, I can see some people have some really big bills. On their utilities allowance they get, I mean, that's predetermined, a flat amount, there's not an adjustment or anything.
Yeah, and we still have people that somehow mess that up. And so we gotta work on that. We had a situation where, I mean, that kind of shocked me. So we just gotta
see
work.
people getting their utilities cut off, and it's like $90 for a reconnection fee. Sometimes they'll call and get some assistance and somebody help with a bill, but then there's that fee for hooking them back up the same day they cut it off. It's non-productive.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got anything else? If not, we will stay
This is,
adjourned.
I have leverage numbers if you want to.
Sure, yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so on housing, we needed 100 million and we have 105 million. Neighborhood, we needed 10 million and we have 128 million. People, we needed 10 million and we have 40 million. So we exceeded the requirements for all of them. And there's still some numbers moving around, which is why I didn't have a report for you on it this morning, but I emailed folks and got, where we stand today.
That's perfect, thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Thank you, and thank you for sticking around for our meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much for even having us work with you. I'm really, really enjoying it.
Thank you.